Morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Thai Expat Daily Show. I am your host, Kieran Mack, and delighted you've been able to tune in us yet again for another show. Now, before we do get started, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when the next show is on the air or live stream. Now, if you like listening to us on a podcast player, you can do so by looking down below in the description, where you will find a link to all the various podcast players that the show is available on. And finally, if you would like the show, if you want to support the show, there's a couple of ways you can do it. Firstly, one of them is just to buy me a coffee, link down below in the description, or you can become a YouTube channel member for a mere 100 Thai baht per month. And basically there's some perks involved, including emojis. You'll have a little star beside your name when you're commenting, whether it's on a live stream or a chat. And also this content, when it's immediately uploaded to YouTube, you'll get to see it first. But now that's all done and dusted, we are going to jump into the top stories doing the rounds here in Thailand. And we're going to start off with the one that seems to be making headlines every single day. And Thaksin Shinawatra, he's back in the news again with, well, apparently the Department of Corrections are not happy with what he's been called. So don't call Thaksin an inmate, says the Corrections Department. The Department of Corrections has asked people not to refer to former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra as a prison inmate, even though he is serving a jail sentence while in hospital. The request was made in a press release issued on Tuesday. Now, the statement said the department referred to male and female offenders as inmates only when they were actually in prison. The practice was in compliance with the Corrections Act. The word inmate should not be used when inmates' names were mentioned outside of prison. Doing so could affect their return to society and also infringe on their human rights, the statement said. The honorifics Mr. and Mrs. and Miss were used in medical records of inmates when they were taken to external hospitals for treatment, the department said. Referring to them as inmates could brand them for life, as the reference would remain in social media systems for a long time. Thaksin, 74, returned to Thailand on August 22 last year after 15 years of self-exile, fleeing the law. On arrival on August 26, 2023, he was detained and taken to court and was the same day sentenced to 8 years in prison, later reduced by royal pardon to 1 year. So, as you can see, Thaksin has been doing rather well. It seems like the Corrections Department are big fans of Thaksin, so we cannot call him an inmate anymore. He should be referred to as Mr. Thaksin. You know, I wonder, do all the other inmates who go to prison, all the other people who are in jail, get this same kind of treatment? Now, on another note, it has been noted Thaksin is eligible for parole because of his age and his illness. So he possibly will be getting out of, wherever he's been over the last few months, and he'll be allowed to return home or to apartment. And it's also been noted he won't, like everybody else, have to wear a ankle bracelet, a monitoring bracelet. So he's doing very well. It does really show you how fixed the system is here in Thailand, and what kind of deal must have been struck so that Thaksin could come home. Now, people might say, well, he's in government with the various other parties. I don't see it as that. I think there's something deeper going on here. And I mean, we all know as soon as Thaksin gets out of hospital and is paroled, this man will suddenly have made a miraculous recovery and will be out and about on social media doing all the various rounds. It seems like he doesn't like being called an inmate, but we will continue to call him inmate Thaksin Shinawatra because that's what he is, regardless if he's in prison or he's in a prison hospital, because that's where he should be. He is serving time for the offences committed and that he was convicted of. By the way, he still has more pending ones that he's going to have to go through in the legal system here in Thailand. Now, I'd love to know how the yellow shirt contingent here in Thailand are feeling about all this, because they would have a deep hatred towards him, but there's very little they can say because of his royal pardon on the commutation of his on his prison sentence. So it is an interesting situation that has developed in his case. But we're going to move along anyway to another story of the day, and an interesting one. The graft busters warned the government the digital handout could be illegal. So the NACC said that the Pheu Thai party promised voters during election campaigning last year differed from the details of the scheme announced in Parliament, so they're not the same. Pattaya had promised to give 10,000 baht to every Thai citizen aged 16 years or more to attract votes, making 56 million people eligible for the money. But the ruling party later unveiled additional conditions that would mean only 50 million people would benefit, according to the NACC. Now, the Prime Minister's party had said in campaigning that the scheme would be financed from the national budget. It is now planned to raise 500 billion baht in loans to fund the project, it said. The NACC said the changes could be a breach of the election law. The law provides for fines and imprisonment of MPs found guilty of offences. Now, the NACC formed a panel in October last year to study the digital wallet policy of the Pheu amid fears of loopholes allowing corruption. The panel is chaired by Commissioner Supa Piati, who played a key role in probes into the rice pledging scheme of the former administration of then Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra. The NACC also said that the digital wallet would be in violation of the State Fiscal and Financial Discipline Act, because the country showed no sign of being in a crisis that needed such a scheme to urgently shore up the economy. It advised the government to fully review the scheme due to possible legal violations. And further on that, the government have announced today that the May deadline that they had given for the digital wallet scheme has been moved, and the wallet will be delayed pending, well, I think they're a little bit worried about a report that's about to be published by the NACC. They actually cancelled a meeting that they were meant to have yesterday in relation to the digital wallet scheme as well. So it looks like this scheme is on the rocks right now. And while the promises that the Pheu Thai party made don't seem to have been legal, and they seem to have been chopping and changing where the money's coming from, who's actually going to get it. And yeah, this has become a little bit of a thorn in their side. So hopefully these things can be sorted out. I mean, people voted for them for a specific reason, so we'll see how it works out. Now, another story, and a story that came out, and I thought when I read it originally, it was a little bit odd that Thailand would allow what happened to happen, but basically, let's jump into it. Thailand is an ally of all countries, and that's according to the foreign minister. Thailand does not support the Israel embassy's tuk-tuk campaign, as the country is an ally of all countries. Foreign Minister Parnpree Bahiddha-Nukara said on Tuesday the Israeli embassy in Bangkok launched a new campaign on Friday calling for the immediate release of all remaining hostages held by Hamas militants in the occupied Gaza Strip. The 100 tuk-tuk vehicles bearing the facial images of hostages with writing in Thai and English were driven along major streets in the city, including Asok, Phetchaburi and Sukhumvit, as well as the Nana and Khao San areas, which are popular among foreign tourists. Thailand is currently in negotiations for the release of the remaining 8 Thai hostages, so we do not want to cause a misunderstanding that the country is supporting any country, especially those in conflict, he said. He confirmed that Thailand is an ally of all countries. He also believes that Israel is trying to tell the global society that the country did not cause this conflict. The most important thing is ensuring the safety of the 8 Thai hostages, and no country should be using Thailand to trigger conflict, he said. The foreign minister also confirmed that the Thai government is seeking ways to help the remaining Thai hostages by negotiating with several networks. Currently in Davos, Switzerland, to attend the World Economic Forum, Parnpree added that he would be discussing the issue with Qatar Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdurrahman bin Jassim Al Thani, who supported the earlier release of Thai hostages. Now, on October 7th, Hamas militants fired hundreds of rockets and sent thousands of fighters into Israel towns near the Gaza Strip in a surprise attack that left more than 1,100 Israelis dead. Israel responded by bombing Gaza and sending combat troops into the territory, leaving more than 23,000 people dead and 59,000 others wounded. An estimated 240 people were taken hostage by Hamas militants, but 105 were later released during a 6-day ceasefire in November. More than 130 are still being held by the Palestinian militants in Gaza, including 8 Thai nationals. Now, following up on that story, basically what happened is that the foreign minister has summoned the Israeli ambassador to the foreign ministry to explain what they're doing and why they were doing it. I find it odd that Thailand would allow the Israel embassy to run this campaign. And surely they would have to pass it by somebody before they start doing this, because this is certainly would be considered political. And I think outside the scope of any foreign embassy to be doing. I just think it's odd that they were allowed to do it. And I think it's odd that, well, they got away with it for a period of time. But it does seem that it has possibly disrupted the negotiations that Thailand have been having in relation with getting the Thai hostages returned. So yes, do I support what they've done in Bangkok? No, I don't. I think it was wrong, and I don't think they should be doing that here in Thailand. It's not their country. And I certainly could tell you if other embassies start doing that in their country, they'd be having big crackdowns on those people. So I think it was wrong of the embassy to do this here in Thailand. It's one thing to say, okay, yes, it's wrong that they're hostages, we'd like them returned. But what they did is they're in essence trying to make it look like that Thailand are fully behind the Israel government and whatnot. But what Thailand are saying is we're a friend to all. And I think we've seen this in other conflicts, that Thailand in general like to sit on the fence when it comes to this kind of diplomacy. Now, moving along. 17 tourists injured when a bus overturns in Phuket. A small tour bus overturned on a curve in Talang district, injuring 17 Chinese tourists, two of them seriously, and 2 of the Thai crew on Tuesday morning. The incident happened at Ban Duk Curve on Tep Kasatri Road and was called into police about 7:50 a.m. According to Police Major General Akapon, Deputy Chief Investigator at the Ta Chachai, emergency responders found a white bus with Buriram license plates overturned on the road near the centre divider. Its windscreen was shattered. 17 tourists, one of them a child, were hurt. 2 had serious injuries. The Thai driver and the crewman suffered minor injuries. Medics treated the injured people, sending them to Talang Hospital. Police investigators reported the bus was carrying 17 Chinese nationals and 3 Thais, a guide, the driver and his assistant. They were travelling from a hotel in downtown Muang district to Thap Lamu Pier, where the tourists were to board a boat to Simeon Islands. The driver lost control of the bus at a Bang Duk curve and it overturned. The police investigation was continuing. Again, a showcase of the wonderful driving standards that we do find here in Thailand. And again, how does a bus overturn? Going around a bend too fast, more than likely speeding, and judging by the road, it was quite dry. So I think probably 1 or 2 of those scenarios were true. And finally, the CAT implements new boarding pass criteria to verify identity. So Thailand's Civil Aviation Authority is introducing new criteria for checking boarding passes and identifications at all airports in Thailand, while effective as of Monday. The new criteria are designed to improve security and prevent identity theft. Under the new rules, passengers must present a valid passport or other government-issued ID, and their boarding passes must match the name on their identity card. Passengers who do not have a valid passport or another government-issued ID will not be allowed to board their flight. In addition, passengers who are unable to provide a boarding pass that matches their name will be denied boarding. CAT also issued a list of acceptable forms of ID for international flights. The list includes passports, national ID cards, driver's license, and student ID cards. Now, this story is a bit of an odd one because I actually thought that was legitimately the rules. So there must be some other type of rule that we're not familiar with. So they're basically saying that if you want to get on a plane and clear security, you have to have a boarding pass that's in the same name as your ID. Has that not always been a rule? Or in Thailand, it was never a rule? I don't know. Generally, guys, have you ever been able to get on a plane where your name didn't match that of your boarding pass and your ID? I don't know. It's a bit of a strange story. I've seen it in a couple of articles. Now, this came out of The Nation. I've rechecked it, and I've rechecked the Civil Aviation Authority's website, and this is legit, but it does make you wonder what was going on previous to this upgrade in the rules and regulations of boarding and checking in for a flight. But nevertheless, that is it for today, folks. Now, whatever story you liked, which one you ever didn't like, I'd love to know your opinion about any of the stories that we've covered today. And you can do so by adding your comments in the comment section down below. But folks, that is it for tonight. Thanks again for tuning in and have a great day. We'll see you in another couple of days. Stay safe out there and take care. But ultimately, with this story or anything else that stood out to you today, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Because yes, this is a news show, but it's also a conversation. Now keep that conversation going. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and do all the good stuff that does help that YouTube algorithm. But ultimately, my name is Kieran Mack. You've been listening to the Thai Expat Daily Show, and we will see you next time.